Wanted to be sure and get the recording started for today, and I welcome you to Click the Science, a webinar Wednesday. This month we're celebrating the impact of out-of-school time programs and learning how to be more effective in telling our story about the programs that we work with. And part of the reason we chose to do that now in April is because I think it's an important part of After School Professionals Appreciation Week. We want you to have the resources so that you can make the case and celebrate your program in your community and with stakeholders that value the work that you're doing and the staff that work in your program. We know that talking to people about after school can be hard. You know that it's important and you know that it matters to the kids in your program, but explaining that to someone else can be a challenge. And so we are going to be sharing with you some facts that you can share as you're talking about your program and building support in your community, and also some resources that you can use to make that a little bit easier, including several videos that can highlight the importance and help people see what's happening in out-of-school time programming, particularly in after-school programming is what we're going to be focusing on today. In 2018, there were 10.2 million students enrolled in after-school programs, but there were 19.4 million whose parents would enroll them in after-school if there was a program available. So that's 2 students who would like to be in an after-school program for every student that we're serving today. So there's still a huge need for more quality after-school programs across the country, and for families to have that support. Families put their children in after-school programs in order to achieve several goals. They want them to have opportunities to develop strong social skills, to explore new experiences, new career paths. They want them to be safe and have good role models. They may also want to improve school attendance and their performance at school or gain workforce skills. They may know, or they may not know, that students who attend after-school programs are more likely to graduate than students who don't. So all of those things are very important, and they're opportunities that all children deserve. So that concern that there's 2 children whose families would like to have them in out-of-school program is really significant, because those children are being denied the opportunities to grow and develop in the way that would be most beneficial to them as individuals and also would strengthen their community as a whole. So that's the sort of message that you can share in your community, and there are a lot of resources to make that easier. This one comes from After School Alliance, and you can use the infographics like this in a visual format. You can also get cards from them that have it printed if that would be easier for you. So all of those statistics help paint that picture of what is happening in after school. Another way you can paint the picture is through videos. And I'm going to switch over to my browser to share with you this video about what happens in after school. Let's watch just a little bit of this video to see how this message can help convey the importance of what's happening in your own program.
I think that the learning principles in after school and summer really get at the core of learning for students really starting in early childhood, going through the university.
The fundamental problem with what we're doing now in too many schools is we're emphasizing a form of learning that's way too passive, that is too test-driven, and that results in many children being bored and disengaged. And what we really need to transform and focus on is how to get students more motivated and more invested in learning.
So what we're really looking for within our after-school programs is providing young people with a chance to ask questions, to look at materials in a new way, to innovate, and to discover.
So can you think of ways that you could use a video like this in your own program? Is this the sort of message that you would like to get across to stakeholders in your community? Share your response to the video in the chat box. I just put the link in the chat box if you want to find this video again. It's a 5-minute video, but I just wanted to show you a segment so you can see that there's a couple of different things that are happening here. You can see it. There's visualization of an after-school program, so you can show what it looks like to somebody who hasn't been to your program. And then there's also input from the experts about what's happening in after-school, what makes a quality program. And again, as you're talking with stakeholders, whether they be parents or community members or even the principal at your school, your goal should be to situate this in the context of your own program and how your program relates to the points that experts are making, how it helps them, helps students in your school to excel. And as you're looking for other resources, we have a variety of resources that might be helpful for you. So I'm going to share this, and these will be in the chat box, but they will also be available for you at our website, clickthesciencepd.org/webinars. So you can come back to these later to find them. These are some of the organizations that have resources that you may find helpful as you're talking about your program. And if you have other sources that you find particularly helpful, please share those in the chat box as well. My advice for you is to start by looking for your own statewide after-school network. And you may already know who that is, but for a lot of people who are new in this field, they don't know who that is in their community. And so that's a great starting place to find resources about the value of after-school in your state, and also about the needs in your local area as well. After School Alliance is another important advocate, and they have resources like research, policy tips, resources to share with policymakers to help make the case for after school, and also for Lights On After School in the fall. They also have a great collection of videos called After School Works, and that's a great resource, and we'll be looking at some of those videos today. There is a toolkit for explaining expanding learning opportunities created by Every Hour Counts. And it is designed for city agencies, school districts, intermediaries in our field. And so there are some really good resources there that will help you strengthen city or community-wide partnerships around expanded learning opportunities and after-school programs. And finally, the Knowledge Center at the Wallace Foundation is another source for research and resources on what high-quality programming looks like and how you can achieve that in after school. The Wallace Foundation also has a great YouTube site that you might want to check out. So those are some of the places where you can go to find resources like this. And as we're going, if you have other resources that you think would be helpful to the group, you can share those in the chat box. This video, called After School Works, is one from After School Alliance, and it's another way to make the case for after school. Let's look at this one. We're going to start kind of in the middle on this video, again, just to make the best use of our time. So we're starting partway through. It'll seem a bit jumpy at first, but then it'll settle in.
I earned it.
After School Works.
To connect young people to future careers.
Our program provides everything from piano lessons to community gardening, welding, robotics, and photography. I've really seen our kids develop more of a path of what they might want to do once they graduate.
I'm a product of having the access to the after-school programs. It's about having those options and getting to experiment to figure out what it is that you want to pursue.
My after-school program gave me the ability to pursue my career as an electrician.
We did this short film project where we had to write the short film, direct the short film. I want to write screenplays. I want to be a director. That's what I love to do.
After School Works.
For kids and families, for communities, and for America.
After School Works.
I think they do an excellent job in that video, lining up who the audience is and what they're trying to get across to different audiences. But the message for all of them is that after school works. So it's like an advertisement, but the nice thing is it can become an advertisement for your program. But the most convincing argument is not going to be a well-produced video like this. It's a good way to get your foot in the door and get started on your messaging. But the most convincing argument for any stakeholder in your program is going to be focusing on their interests and the local needs that can be addressed through high-quality after-school programs. So the next thing we're going to look at is how you can use the research that has been done nationally to help describe that impact of after-school program. And your challenge is going to be, how do you decide which of these arguments makes the most sense for your community? Which one's going to hold the most weight with the person that you're speaking to? And even within your community, there may be different stakeholders that are interested in different points of value for after-school programs. So you need to think about, as we're going through these resources today, how can you shape this argument for the person that you're talking to as you're trying to explain the impact of after-school time? For me, the achievement gap in education is a central issue, and it's an issue of social justice and equity. The fact that some students, that we can predict ahead of time how well a student is going to do in school based on factors about them, about their life experience, about their background, not about their academic ability, is a problem. And I know that some students don't have the same opportunity to learn as others. And that, to me, that's a serious problem. And the fact that after-school programs can change that is an argument worth making in our community. So how do we describe that? Research tells us that the achievement gap between students from lower and higher income families has grown by 40% in the last 30 years. That means it's gotten 40% wider than it had been 30 years ago. And it's important to recognize that unequal access to learning opportunities accounts for 2/3 of the gap. So a lot of the issue is around access to opportunities that help children grow and develop. The wealthiest families in the United States spend almost 7 times as much of they spend 20%. The wealthiest 20% of families spend almost 7 times more on out-of-school enrichment activities for their children than the poorest 20%. So if you look at the top 20% and the bottom 20% by income of families, those in the top are spending 7 times more than those in the lowest 20% are able to spend on after-school enrichment activities for their children. And after-school programs are showing the ability to narrow this gap for those 10.2 million children who are participating in after school. Here's some of the research in the last few years. Teachers report that students who regularly participate in 21st Century Community Learning Center programs show improvements in homework completion, class participation, reading, and math achievement. Even if your program isn't a 21st century program, you might want to look at the data that you have about these particular aspects of the students in your program, because you may be able to show improvement in your own program as well. But this data does come from assessments of just 21st century programs. In 2013, research found that the more consistent time children spent in after-school activities during the elementary school year. So the more time they spent in after-school programs in elementary school was associated with narrowing the achievement gap for them in math by age 5. Different study than the previous one, but also showing an impact, particularly in the area of math. Another study found that students who regularly attend a 21st Century Community Learning Center program for more than 2 years gain up to 20 percentile in standardized math testing. And students who attend less regularly still show a gain of 12 percentiles. So the increase in their achievement measured by testing, particularly in math, is been proven through a variety of studies. Reading scores have also been shown to increase. But I think the improvements in classroom behavior and school attendance are also really important. After-school and summer programs can increase student engagement with learning by providing opportunities for hands-on learning, team building, relationships with caring adults, and access to computer labs or educational technology after school. After-school programs can foster higher aspirations for educational attendance. And studies have shown that students who regularly attend after-school programs develop better work habits in their classroom. They improve their self-efficacy, their expectation of themselves about what they can accomplish. They increase their school attendance. They're better behaved in the classroom. And all of these things together contribute to raising their academic performance. So we know not just that after-school programs increase academic performance, but we have some understanding now about how that happens. And one of the simplest things is students who attend school more regularly are doing better in school. And so just the simplest goal of improving school attendance can have a big impact. And when you multiply that with improved behavior in the classroom, developing better work habits, all of these things together contribute to students who are much more successful than students who are not able to participate in after-school programs. Another area is building on this idea of keeping students in school. We also know that students, let me rephrase that. We know that students who aren't in school, who are absent or have poor attendance, are not learning. They have a disjointed classroom experience and they don't have the same learning opportunities. And there are several factors that can keep students out of school, whether it's homelessness or behavior issues that result in them being excluded from school, or just conflicts within the family or with the home that keep them from getting to school, or mental health challenges as well. But recent studies have found that students who regularly participate in high-quality after-school programs are less likely to misbehave or act aggressively toward their peers, which results in less disciplinary referrals and fewer suspensions. Studies have also showed that when compared to their peers who are not in after-school programs, students who regularly participate in high-quality after-school programs demonstrate increased school day attendance. The 2016 study of the impact of 21st century community learning centers found close to 3 out of 5 participants in the 21st century program improved their classroom behavior and developed stronger work habits, self-control, and hope for the future. So regularly participating in an after-school program helps kids stay out of trouble, helps them stay in the classroom, and it increases the likelihood that they are going to graduate from high school. And we know that students who graduate from high school are much more well prepared as adults than those who do not. So again, we're looking at what is the impact. Students are doing better in school. Students are more likely to graduate. Why are they more likely to graduate? These are some of the factors that we think are contributing to that. They're receiving fewer disciplinary referrals because their behavior has improved. They have less aggressiveness toward peers, better work-study habits. This increases their self-confidence. As they experience more success in the school, in the classroom, they improve their behavior, and they are more likely to graduate, to be prepared then as adults to take on the challenges that they will face. So the first things after-school programs can do is help students improve their academic performance and improve their behavior in the classroom. The second thing was to provide supports that help them stay in school, increase their likelihood of graduation. Now we want to look at, in more detail, at how exactly after-school programs help prepare young people for their future. At the most basic level, youth and after-school programs are safe and off the streets during the hours when most violent juvenile crimes and crime victimization happens. So being in an after-school program and developing positive relationships with caring adults helps students avoid being victims of crimes or engaging in criminal behavior. This means that every $1 invested in after-school programs saves $2.50 in crime-related expenses. Again, this is an infographic from After School Alliance that can help you tell this story about how after-school programs keep kids safe during the time when it's actually most risky for them to be unsupervised. 83% of parents with a child in an after-school program say that their program reduces the likelihood that kids will commit a crime, use drugs, or become a teen parent. There's more to this. After-school programs don't just help youth avoid negative behaviors, they also help them develop the skills and attitudes that contribute to their success and to positive behaviors. Another area you might want to talk about with stakeholders is workforce development, or developing skills for work. Today, the private sector spends $164 billion every year on employee education and training to close workforce skills gaps. But investing early in a future workshop can avoid some of these costs of remedial training later. Businesses want to hire people who are problem solvers and team players. And students can develop these skills and learn by doing in after-school programs to build the skills of working together, communicating and collaborating, and solving problems together. Programs that offer activities that tie into local in-demand industries help students even more, to help them learn more about the occupations that are available to them in their local community, and can help them reinforce or complement the academic programming that they're receiving in the classroom so that they can be well prepared to contribute to their community. So finding out what partners are available in your community to connect students with, to give them the opportunity to visit potential workplaces, all of these things can help contribute to their success. And we know that jobs in science, technology, engineering, and math are driving global and economic growth right now. 7 million students are getting opportunities to develop and explore STEM in their after-school program, where after-school STEM can double after-school STEM programs can double the amount of time that students have to question, to explore, to tinker, and to learn about STEM and STEM-related careers. So the more students that are able to participate in experiences like this in after school, the more they're interested in STEM, the more likely they are to study and take STEM classes and pursue STEM careers in college or community college. An important part of what after-school programs offer is an opportunity to follow their spark, to try out new activities, new areas of interest, and build the skills they need to be successful in that area. In one study looking at 1,600 or 1,600 youth and 160 after-school programs across 11 states, more than 70% of the students reported positive gains in their attitude towards STEM. Increases in their personal STEM identity, their understanding of STEM career pathways, and skills, including perseverance and critical thinking. These programs introduce students to new interests, to potential career pathways, and they do it through hands-on activities, guest speakers, field trips, internships. A science after-school club at a Boys and Girls Club in Chicago transformed student outcomes by building close relationships with mentors and having a dynamic curriculum of real-world science and engineering experiences for the students to engage in. Just 1 out of every 100 students at the beginning, 1% of their students entered a STEM career path. 32% were enrolled in STEM majors at the end of their program. So STEM activities in particular, but all sorts of after-school activities can really help students experience new career opportunities and build the skills, the interest, and the motivation to be successful in different areas. Another way that after-school programs support kids is through promoting health and wellness. Youth today face significant challenge to building healthy self-esteem and physical well-being. Youth who are not in after-school and summer programs are more likely to skip classes, to abuse drugs or alcohol or tobacco, to engage in sexual activity or delinquent behavior. So after-school programs can increase all of these opportunities, or can decrease exposure to these negative factors, at the same time increasing their self-confidence and their self-esteem. But there are other ways that after-school programs can influence youth, not just by keeping them away from negative behaviors, but by offering a broad array of programs and activities that address health and fitness. Recent research has shown how after-school programs continue to make advances in exposing students to nutritious foods, keeping them physically fit, and promoting healthy behaviors. After-school programs have the opportunity to help prevent childhood obesity and install lifelong behaviors starting in elementary school. And parents often look to their after-school programs to provide healthy food during the out-of-school time hours. This is especially important to low-income families. Low-income parents are more likely to agree that after-school programs have the responsibility to provide healthy food to their students and are also more likely to report that the programs are meeting that expectation, and that that's something they look for when they're choosing an after-school program. Parents also want after-school programs to keep their children physically active. 8 in 10 parents surveyed by After School Alliance agree that after-school programs should provide a fun place where children can be physically active. By offering this combination of healthy snacks and beverages, healthy eating behaviors, and experiencing a variety of foods, after-school programs can help students establish healthy behaviors in childhood that are going to have a positive impact on them throughout their life. Another area that is very important in after school is simply the child care aspect. Adequate child care is not available in every community. And in the United States now, nearly 5 million children in grades K through 8 are regularly taking care of themselves after school. And less than 1/4 of the families in our communities today fit with the traditional image of a parent who's able to be home during the after-school hours to care for children, and a second parent who provides financial support. In fact, 77% of mothers with school-age children are employed, and the gap between the work-day schedule and the school day schedule can be as many as 25 hours a week for some families, where they have to decide what to do to provide childcare during those hours. And as we've already talked about, after-school programs provide the place to keep children safe and to inspire them to learn. It also gives parents the support they need to be in the workplace. On average, parents miss an average of 5 days of work per year due to lack of after-school care. 8 out of 10 parents agree that after-school programs give them peace of mind about their children while they're at work. And that's kind of hard, I find it hard at least, to explain. So I found a video that can help explain this for you. This video is from, let me check, After School Alliance, on how after-school programs support working families.
This after-school program helped me be able to advance and become a director of maintenance in aviation. I was able to have extra time to put energy into my work, and it helped my career. It gave me more opportunities to advance and help out financially.
The program allowed me to continue to work and go to school while the kids were taken care of. It's been very important. I couldn't have finished my college education without it. I'm a single mother of 4 kids. I work 55 to 60 hours a week. I couldn't do that without the after-school program. I wouldn't be able to give my kids the lifestyle that I give them.
I do encourage you to find the links to these videos in the chat box or on the website, because it can be so much easier to show what we're talking about than to explain it. And I think that video does an excellent job of showing how after school can impact families and provide support for parents. That can be very important to employers. The quality of after-school programming in a community can help draw skilled workers to a community, and can also increase parents' attendance at work. They're less likely to miss work if their children are in a good quality after-school program. So I was looking for an example of how communities can do a needs assessment of what is needed in their community and how after-school programs can make that difference. This one happens to be from the California After School Network, but I'm sure there are many other resources like this that you can find, and your statewide after-school network would be a great place to start for this. This is a theory of change for California After School Network about what the need is in the white circle in the community and how after-school programs and the California After School Network can help meet that need, can help children and youth experience success in the classroom, to improve their physical, emotional, social health, and to mitigate the disadvantages that helps contribute to that achievement gap we talked about earlier. The bottom line is that after-school programs benefit children and families in many ways, and your role is to seek to understand the needs in your community so you can share the capabilities, the possibilities that after-school program, high-quality after-school programs, can bring to your community. And you can share that with stakeholders such as parents, school administrators, politicians, business leaders in your community, that make the case for them about how their support for after-school can contribute overall to their community. And for some of these audiences, it may be really helpful to be able to express these benefits in financial terms, such as, and these are from After School Alliance, every dollar invested in after-school programs saves $3 by reducing crime and welfare costs, improving school performance, and increasing earning potential for young people. Decreased worker productivity related to parental concerns about after-school care costs businesses nationally about $300 billion a year. That's a significant gain that can be made through high-quality after-school programming. Or sometimes it's numbers that are helpful. Each day, 11.3 million children leave school with no place to go. Or the number we shared at the beginning, there are 19.4 million children in the United States whose parents would enroll them in an after-school program if there was one available in their community. To look at your own program evaluation, to think about what impacts you can emphasize in the programming that you offer and the value that it has through numbers, through building skills or building resources, or through financial impact on families in your community, and share that with stakeholders. I want to finish with one more video that reminds us what I think is most important about making the case for after-school program. That is to be able to talk about how young people in your own community benefit from an after-school program. This is a video put together by Boys and Girls Clubs of America. It's Lila's story about her experience at the Boys and Girls Club.
I come to the club every day after school. I come to the club every day after school. I like coming to the club because of the staff members and the games. They also show us a lot of respect. They trust us and make us feel like we are responsible kids, and that makes us happy. The staff always takes their time with you. If you don't understand something, they slow down and explain things. Chess is my game. It helps me think ahead and think faster. It's good for my brain. The game has also improved my friendships. There is a chess club here. We have a lot of friendly competitions. I'm captain of Mrs. Julian's team because I have experience and can teach others. When I was chosen as captain, I was a little nervous and excited too. My responsibilities are to show the other kids about the pieces, how they move, and to make sure they know the board. I really enjoy the game Mrs. Julie and I have kind of a rivalry going on, and most of our games are pretty good.
So at the beginning of the webinar, I invited you to share in the chat box if you had other resources, other places where we should go to find opportunity or find resources that we can use to make the case about the impact of after-school programs in our community. And I see that we do have one recommendation for Noise. That's an excellent resource that I should have included here. Noise is the National Institute on Out-of-School Time, and there's the link to find the resources that they have in the field. And Noise has resources for professional development for after-school programs, for research, and also to help make the case about why after-school programs are important. Does anybody else have resources that you have found to be particularly helpful in making the case about the impact of after-school programs, to celebrate that in your community? Are stories that you want to share, maybe resources that you've created, videos or other things that help outline the impact of your program? I invite you to share those in the chat box, as well as to share if you have questions. And I want to finish up by giving you, I'm sorry, let me go back here. I want to finish up by giving you the opportunity to ask questions and tell you a little bit more about what is coming up. That's what I wanted to do. And I'm going to